Rockets trade reports are escalating as an analyst is urging a crazy trade that would involve the Rockets giving up their number 10 overall pick this year and would give Houston a multitude of options moving forward, including trading for a couple of NBA superstars. Welcome into Rockets Digest. I'm Jace Andrews, and I'm happy to have you along for the ride. We are growing like crazy, already to 650 subscribers. We're trying to get to 1,000 by the end of the week, and we could use your help. See, 93% of you who are watching this video have yet to subscribe. Well, what are you waiting for? It's free. We got Houston Rockets content coming for you, and the offseason is about to go crazy, and I want you to be involved. Hit that subscribe button, and that way we can make more and more content for you. Let's get right into the video today. Dallas Mavericks, we all know they got the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft lottery, despite having a 1.8% chance to get it. The San Antonio Spurs got number 2, the Philadelphia 76ers got the 3rd pick, and the Charlotte Hornets ended up with the 4th pick, and the Rockets fell all the way to number 10. And you probably heard me say fell. Why did they fall? Well, yes, it was the Phoenix Suns pick, but the Rockets owned it, and the percentages for them to get some of these picks were actually more than you think. 3.8 for the number 1 pick, which, remember, Dallas only had a 1.8 chance, and they got it. A 4% chance plus for number 2, number 3, and number 4 for the Houston Rockets. You combine all those percentages, you're talking about a 15% chance for the Rockets to get a top 4 pick. That doesn't happen. There's no odds for 5 through 8. Number 9, they had a 50% chance, which they didn't get. Number 10, they had a 28% chance, which they ended up with. And, for number 10 to number 9, it's really not that big a change, so not going to say much there. But given you didn't get one of those top 4 picks, there's now the question that has been opened up, especially with the Rockets exploring trades for so many different superstars that are going to be on the trading block this offseason. Do the Rockets include this number 10 pick, or do they want to try and keep it? Do they try and say, you know what, we're going to keep this guy? Well, one NBA analyst is actually urging for the Rockets to trade that number 10 overall pick, and the Rockets could do a bunch of different things with them. Now, let's go right into the report here. This coming from Bleacher Report's Andy Bailey saying, quote, if the Blazers are ahead of schedule, the Houston Rockets absolutely blew past theirs in 2024-2025. They finished second in the loaded Western Conference. 6 of their top 8 in total minutes played are under the years of 25 years old, and it looks like they might already have at least 2 potential cornerstone-level talents in Alperen Şengün and Amen Thompson, end quote. He's got a point. The one thing I kind of intrigued, he didn't mention Jalen Green in that. He mentioned Şengün, he mentioned Thompson, who, yes, are a little bit in a favorable position for the Rockets in some aspects, but so is Jalen Green. He's 23 years old in just his 4th season and was averaging an insane amount of points. But that's okay. He said it. That's the way it was. And I'm intrigued. What exactly do the Rockets get back in all this? Well, that's where we continue on with this quote. And he says, adding this pick to a package that includes plenty of outgoing salary, and here's your answer to Jalen Green, they can get almost $80 million off the salary cap with VanVleet and Jalen Green alone, and more draft assets could make the Rockets realistic contenders for KD and maybe even Giannis, end quote. So, couple of things I'm taking from this. There has to be money talked about in these trades. And Fred VanVleet is not in the option if you are getting Giannis or KD. The money doesn't work out. And for that matter, you have to trade away probably some other people as well, / working out contracts. Now, that's not to say that they can't keep Jalen Green and trade for Kevin Durant or Giannis. They're just going to have to restructure some contracts and kind of figure some stuff out. However, he also said in there that this would make them realistic contenders. Are the Rockets not already realistic contenders with what they have? They've got picks galore, young talent, and a team that wants to win now with a very talented head coach. So I'm a little bit confused in that aspect, but at the same time, it's whatever. I digress, and, we could figure it out. Now, that's where I want to continue on and kind of read more into what he is saying. And so we go into this quote. Adding a bona fide star to just about whoever is left after this trade could have Houston on the title contenders tier within the next couple years, end quote. I again just hear the disrespect he's kind of saying. We're the number 2 team in the Western Conference, and he's saying that we're not ready to be contenders. And I know that Giannis or KD would be huge. I'm not saying that they wouldn't be. They're huge, huge pieces. Kevin Durant, although yet be a little older, is still a very good piece that the Rockets could add, and probably would be a little cheaper than Giannis Antetokounmpo due to his age, and the fact that the Rockets already have the Phoenix Suns draft picks that the Suns would very much like to acquire back. Now, Kevin Durant is a older guy. He is going to not play as long as Giannis for the next 5, 6, 7 years. In fact, there is probably a good chance that, say the Rockets get him, he plays less than 3 years. 3 years or maybe 4. And if the Rockets win a championship, who knows if maybe he just retires after that, which I'll say that right now. If you trade for KD and get a championship and he just retires, I could care less. You got the championship. That's what matters. But at the same time, there is a talk of making this team the next NBA super team, the next NBA young stars, the next Oklahoma City, even though they're only up 3-2 on the Nuggets in round number 2. But whatever, besides the point, KD is a great option. Giannis, though, is also a very good guy to get. He averaged a double-double this year. We all know about his playoff totals, and we all know about the Greek freak and the guy he is. Plus, he's just a good person on top of which. Not to say KD isn't, but Giannis would fit the vibe of this Houston Rockets squad. The problem is he is going to cost a substantial amount more, in my mind, than Kevin Durant. And here's a couple reasons behind that. The Bucks are in a different situation than Phoenix. Damian Lillard is not playing next year. The Bucks have traded away a lot of their assets. Chris Middleton's gone. Drew Holiday is gone. This team that once won the NBA Finals, by the way, with Middleton, Holiday, Giannis, that team has kind of been abandoned. Yes, they got Dame, but he's not playing next year. And so the Bucks have some guys, and they want to try and keep it going. They have more recently been in that championship caliber level. So it's going to cost a little more for the Bucks, especially when you have a younger player in Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Giannis has a bigger say in things, and he kind of wants to go play for a bigger market team with already a entraced star into that place. So what exactly do the Rockets do? That's where we continue on and kind of intriguingly look at this. The Rockets could use the number 10 pick and could get some assets or a star, or they could trade it to a team looking for a prospect right now and get a future pick to work with when the team is ready to make a big move. That's a big thing. The Rockets, having this number 10 pick, if they were to trade it, have had a bunch of different options. They could easily go out and trade that top 10 pick to somebody to get more picks and then use those picks to trade for Giannis or KD or whatever. Or they could use that pick to go trade for Giannis, to go trade for KD. There's a bunch of different options when you talk about this team. And in all reality, it is a very good place to be. And that's where I want to take a quick look at this Rockets season outlook in terms of offseason. Here is the big things that have already been mentioned. Roster continuality is a big thing that Rafael wants. However, there's reports every day that the Rockets are hunting a superstar. Now, Fred VanVleet's team option of $44.9 million is not worth it, and the options for him are to let him walk and go find somewhere else that wants to pay him that much, which there's not going to be a team that will, or he wants to stay in Houston, rework that contract to get him to stay, and maybe this trade becomes a little less likely. Now, there's extensions to be talked about. Tari Eason, Jabari Smith Jr., Steven Adams is a free agent that, again, maybe didn't have the statistical value, but he did have a big value in terms of being on the court. I mean, his plus minuses in the playoffs were crazy. Now, here's where we now know a little bit more about their resources. They have the top 10 pick. They have 5 tradable first-round picks. They have a young core in Şengün, Green, Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., Shepard, Cam Whitmore, and Tari Eason. And really, in my mind, the 3 that you're only going to trade one of would be Şengün, Green, or Amen. If you're going to trade any of those people, you're only going to trade one of them. And I think odds are it would be Jalen Green over anybody else because of the monetary value, the money that he is going to cost in your cap. Plus, they do have sizable contracts. As I mentioned, the aforementioned Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet, and Dillon Brooks, who has not been talked about in much trades, but I think that's more speaking to people's want for Dillon Brooks more than his ability. So that's just my opinion. He's not been mentioned in a lot of stuff. He's also not a very tradable player. That sounds kind of odd because the Rockets did trade for him, but he's not a big tradable player. Besides the point, Fred VanVleet's contract is going to be reworked. That's money off the books. To get Giannis, to get KD, Jalen Green is going to have to rework his contract. So at the end of the day, your options are trade this number 10 overall pick for more picks and use those picks to go trade for somebody else, or trade back on the number 10 pick for picks far in the future. Maybe even get some first round picks in 2028, whatever. Doesn't matter. Get more first round picks for maybe when you really want to go get these stars and have the money to do it. Because right now, KD and Giannis are definitely options, but the road there seems to be a little bit more harsh than what we first thought in terms of looking at money, in terms of looking at Rafael Stone saying he wants this team to get another shot. He believes that they were the number 2 team, obviously, and that they did not perform to their best abilities in the playoffs. And in some ways, I think he might go for a little bit of I'm going to say down low star. I'm not going to be like, it's not KD, it's not Giannis, it's not Booker, but maybe a Trae Young. I think he's still a star, but he'd be a little easier to get from the Hawks, especially in their position. But there's a couple of easily tradable assets. Tyler Hero, I think his shooting ability is great. There's a couple of guys you can go out there and trade to make this team better without demolishing your roster. But it starts with getting money in the right places and changing the books up. Fred VanVleet has to be taken off that team option and gotten on a better deal. And if he is not on a better deal, that's when you make the big move to go trade for a big-time player. Let me know what you think in the comments section. We appreciate you watching, as always. And hit that subscribe button. Obviously, you made it to the end of the video, and I can't say thank you enough. The support has been overwhelming, and I'm so happy. This is a dream to get to cover my favorite team in the NBA. So hit that subscribe button. We can make more and more content. And for now, we'll see you next time here on Rockets Digest. Peace out.